Hey guys, I'm back with my 2 cents, and I wanted to come to you about this viral story about this Virginia NICU nurse. Okay, so I know most people have heard about her, but I wanted to go ahead and read this story to you from Fox 9. And it says Virginia nurse arrested after hospital closes NICU due to mystery attacks on newborns. And so I want to come to you as a former NICU nurse, as well as an obstetric nurse, OB, and as well as a childbirth educator. So let's dive in. So, Virginia police have arrested a registered nurse in connection with a twisted attack that left a vulnerable newborn in hospital's neonatal ICU with an unexplainable fracture in November, and additional charges could come as detectives continue to probe a half dozen similar incidents. Yikes. This kind of reminds me of the Lucy Letby, but we'll come back to that. So the 26-year-old suspect, Erin Elizabeth Ann Stropman, was booked into the Henrico County Jail on charges of malicious wounding and child abuse that caused serious injury around 1:15 a.m. Friday. A perplexing string of injuries to babies in the NICU at Henrico Doctors Hospital in Richmond in November and December prompted officials to launch an internal investigation and close the unit to new patients on Christmas Eve. Absolutely. Police records show Stropman's registered nurse's license was first issued in 2019 and is valid until May 2026. In late November, December, we discovered that three babies in our Henrico Doctors Hospital NICU had unexplainable fractures, similar to an incident involving four babies in the summer of 2023. The hospital said in a statement. Concerned parents reported the injuries to CPS last year. Finally, we can get some answers as to who abused our son. I wish I could say it was a happy moment learning of her arrest. However, learning the details involving the other babies, the only feeling I have is sadness and regret. Dominique Hackey, the father of one of the victims, told Fox News Digital Friday. I am heartbroken to learn the degree in what this person was allowed to get away with and regret that I should have spoke up sooner in hopes to prevent other children from getting hurt. He didn't know. He is probably a first time parent, and he has trusted the care of his child to the people at the hospital. There was no way for him to know what was normal or abnormal if they explained away this unexplainable fracture. So it goes on to say Hackey first went public with his story to the local news station last month, revealing the confusion surrounding one of his twin sons' injuries. He suffered a mysterious fracture to his tibia in September 2023. His mother, a former NICU nurse herself, reported the injury to social services. And see, that's what it is. Mom, having the experience in the background as a NICU nurse herself, was like, there is no way. And there's literally like the weirdest thing. That would be like so unfathomable to me. In all the years I've worked in the NICU, I've never seen, well, I've worked around the NICU too, like in obstetrics. I've never heard of a baby with an unexplainable fracture of any kind. So it goes on to say it wasn't until a year later that Henrico CPS told them it had concluded that their son was the victim of physical abuse from an unnamed hospital staffer. Then in October, county police reportedly told them about the other similar cases. The hospital announced its NICU shut down on December 24th after the three latest incidents, but even then, the alleged assailant remained unknown until police announced Stropman's arrest Friday. They should have just requested those medical records, and every other parent should have requested the medical records of the other babies, and they could have narrowed down to who had these babies when the fractures were discovered. You ain't got to tell me. We'll figure it out. And they have the right to request their records and to see who cared for their child. While hospital officials said previously that fractures can happen to premature babies, super rare. They nevertheless increased security, installed new surveillance systems, and notified police after the second series of attacks. And that's the other thing, right? It's a series. I know the NICU in which I work, first of all, we have amazing providers and we have amazing nurses who personally take on the babies like they are their own children. One baby wouldn't have even, they would have been like, hold on, wait, stop the presses. What happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? Who was caring for these babies? These doctors would have popped off. The nurses would have been in an uproar. It would have not been a series of babies. It just wouldn't have been. So it says new safety measures, including training on general safety and how to identify and report signs of abuse, head to toe examinations of the patients by doctors, and an observer system where each healthcare provider is accompanied by another clinician whenever they enter a baby's room, the hospital said. This is crazy. They had a alleged psycho on their hands, and all these extra things that they're doing. This is like atypical. So I don't know, like, how are you going to support having another clinician accompany you into the room? That's like having two nurses in a room. Like, that's, are they going to have money for that? Probably not. It depends on how big this NICU is. I don't see them being able to, well, given the circumstances, they probably will have to meet that standard that they put into place. But I think this is an outlier. I think this lady is a psycho. If, she did in fact do this, which it sounds like she did. Yeah. As far as head to toe examinations by the doctors, if the nurses were concerned, then they definitely should have reached out to the doctors. What it sounds like happened is maybe this was passed over by different nurses on assessment and, not caught. And the doctors therefore weren't asked to come and reassess the babies. So, yeah, it's really interesting. So, they also turned over hours of surveillance video to police who were still going through footage after arresting Stratman in connection with an incident that happened on November 10th. We appreciate the families and public's patience as we work, blah, blah, blah. Let's see if there's an updated article. So I found this article from our local news here. Virginia nurse charged with child abuse amid probe into NICU baby suffering unexplained fractures. And this is Eyewitness News, ABC 7. So this article says that Erin Elizabeth Ann Stratman of Chesterfield County was charged with one count of felony child neglect, which carries up to 10 years in prison. She need more than that, as well as one count of felony malicious wounding for an injury sustained by an infant, which carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. These charges are connected to an incident that allegedly occurred on November 10th, 2024. So the public defender for this nurse says that she has not yet entered a plea, and he declined to comment on the charges. According to the court records, her next hearing is scheduled for March 24th of 2025. She was denied bond according to Taylor's office and was ordered by the court to not have any contact with children under the age of 18. So she's only been charged for one incident, but there are other, like 6 or 7 other incidences that they are investigating. So it says thus far we have 4 babies identified in 2023 and 3 babies identified from 2024. However, both Henrico County Police Division and myself have made public statements encouraging families to reach out if they think their babies were impacted. I thought I read somewhere that she had been put on leave and the incidences stopped, and then she came back and it started again. So it was a pretty clear indicator that maybe it was her. But yeah, this is atrocious, and it really reminds me of Lucy Letby. Now, this is Lucy Letby, and if you don't know who she is a nurse from the UK who killed up a bunch of babies there as well. I was going to say allegedly, but she was like tried and convicted. So, yeah. So apparently the hospital announced that they were not admitting new patients at this time. I guess so. Who's going to want to send their baby there? Unless it's in like a more a neighborhood where there's more of a need and patients don't have anywhere else to go. They're probably, what they're doing now is inconveniencing families, delivering the babies at that hospital and then shipping them out to, hospitals nearby for care. So Chesterfield Hospital, is it Chesterfield, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours outside of Washington, D.C., or in Northern Virginia. So yeah, this is really unfortunate. This is really sad. Let me tell you, it is really hard to break a baby's bones, even if it's premature. I remember trying to get a temperature on my premature baby. A blood pressure. She was 2 pounds and she was literally fighting me, bending her arm wide. I'm like, sis, I'm trying to get this blood pressure cuff on. Like, I'm going to win. But like, I always teach my parents that if you are trying to hurt a baby, you will. But most times babies are resilient. If you're not trying to hurt them, you will be fine. Like, you're not going to inadvertently hurt your baby. This is really sad. We're going to follow this case, and I'll keep you posted on what's happening. Like, comment, share, and follow for more.